Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush. I am still your host, Matt Scott, back for another review of the past LEC week, group stage, first week of that format for the summer split. And oh boy, what a week it was. We've had many surprises of teams that have gone through to the playoff stage that weren't expected. Teams play better as well, and other surprises, including obviously Fnatic's 0-2 best of 3. Very disappointing. We'll talk about all of that during the podcast. Thank you for joining me today again. Whether you're watching live right now or on the VODs through YouTube or Spotify, appreciate your support. Guys, let's jump right into it. Let's have a look at what happened in group stage in more details. So, there you have it. We have Group A, Group B into their final standings almost. Starting with Group A. BDS versus Team Heretics, 2-1 for Team BDS. Will admit this game was much closer than expected. Team Heretics came in swinging, and it was very close for them to actually potentially take it to 1 or to 0 to some point. BDS are definitely on an upswing, and we saw the interesting Garen pick from Adam, and it looks like they're finally steadily finding their form, but there's a lot of space for them to get caught by Team Heretics, who I think had definitely a good read on the meta. There were some good performances from VTO, Yankos, obviously, which, in my personal opinion, probably one of the most versatile junglers we have, probably from his veterancy, obviously, but it was well played by Team Heretics, but BDS are definitely having the edge right now, and that's what allowed them, especially in that third game, to take over and win that game. Obviously, BDS, therefore, advancing to the next stage, to the upper bracket. On the other side was G2 versus Koi. Now, I thought that this game would be very, very straightforward in the sense that G2 would just hard stomp from start to finish both games. While the end results does look like a stomp, it doesn't really illustrate how the games went, in my opinion. The weakness in G2's early game still gets exploited by teams, and it was exploited by Koi, but the way they transition into the mid game, and if needed into the late game, is so much stronger on G2, whether it be on the way they take team fights around objectives or just for the individual prowess. Makes them very hard to beat within a game, so the moment it gets past that 15-16 minute that 15-16 minute threshold, G2 just automatically takes over the game. I will also say, on the other side, a bit like the Team Heretics BDS game, that there are points where it feels like the teams just don't want to win anymore. They're doing super well in the early game, and it's like, you know what? The consistency that we showed in the early game, we're not interested in keeping that. And that drives into either getting caught individually being out of position, or just taking team fights when there's no need for it, when there's no objectives available, when there's number difference, or when there's item differences, and the disadvantage is on the side of Koi. They make very silly mistake to what looked like, a good game plan for let's say the first half of the game. Unfortunately, G2 definitely looks like the stronger team, able to pick whatever champions they want. It also happens that having Nautilus back in the meta fits super well Mickey, who probably has the best, if not one of the best, the best. Oh, sorry, other way around. If not the best, one of the best. There we go. Speaking English is hard. Nautilus in the LEC. He was already playing it during the best of ones, and when it was not necessarily the most meta pick, and crushing everyone. It's the Draven Nautilus combo for the bot lane, and they've been very successful with that duo. So G2 Koi scoreline 2-0. Has there been weaknesses in G2's armor? I want to say yes. I also want to say no, because these weaknesses are so short within the span of the game that it would take a team of the same caliber of G2 to be able to exploit them properly and win those games. And we look at the league right now, we look at the best of threes, there doesn't seem to be a team that can do that. G2 are definitely entering the playoffs as the favorites, and it's gonna take, I wouldn't necessarily say a perfect read of the meta, but at least a better read of the meta of G2 to circumvent them from picks and comfort champions that would inevitably allow G2 to get into that comfort zone in that mid game and just execute as planned. Very quickly, obviously, the upper bracket best of 3, G2 versus BDS. I bet the same story as Koi, just with a stronger team that BDS is. BDS controlling the early game, G2 inevitably taking over. Same sort of syndrome of we're winning the game, but we don't feel like winning it anymore, so we're just going to give silly picks to our opponent and allow them to get back into the game, which is something you can't afford against G2. G2, if you want to win against them, you have to dominate the entire game. The early game is not enough. They will out team fight you. They will coordinate better around objectives and map pressure, and you will inevitably lose the game bit by bit as they slowly get back into a gold advantage without even you realizing it. Like, if you look at the games, the way it feels against G2 is that enemy team will take gold advantage most of the time through kills. This is where they'll start building maybe 1k, 2k gold lead at the start. And G2, without necessarily fighting, just by playing the map better and catching waves and getting turrets, they'll actually match the gold and very easily take an advantage in gold. So it's not necessarily them going full LPL style and be like, oh, we have to have the same amount of kills. Like, if you look at the score lines at the halfway mark of the game, they might be down 2 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills, but it doesn't matter because they're up 1 or 2 turrets. They're matched in Drakes. They have good Herald control as well. So this is where G2 plays the map a bit smarter, definitely. But still, do I think they can be exploited? Sure. But again, it takes a high caliber team to do that. Might not exist in the LEC, but you know, by the time World comes around, if G2 doesn't fix that part of their gameplay, they'll definitely not, or at least have a very, very hard time get past LPL and LCK teams. That's my opinion. Well, all of that said, obviously, this gives us a lower bracket run for Koi Team Heretics being the very first game, which is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the fight of two Spanish franchises has been dubbed the new Clásico somewhat for LEC, a way to build good narratives, good rivalries. You know, that's what you want in terms of viewership. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think Koi Team Heretics has some of the best viewership in the LEC as of recent. So, not too bad. Interesting one. You know, hard to point the finger of who's going to win this, because you know, an extra week can really change a team from one style to another as much as it doesn't. Team Heretics definitely looks like the one who's coming in swinging, so I'd probably give them the edge, but again, we could see a new face of Koi going into that final week, so it depends. It depends. BDS obviously will be the team waiting for them at the end of the road and getting that third qualifier spot available for them or their opponent, obviously. So we'll have to look quite closely at how these games play out. I definitely see, obviously, BDS looks like the stronger suited team to make it out. But again, anything can happen from one week to another. You know, things that were meta last week can be changed, and we can have something else that is meta. Oh, excuse me, bless me for that one. Going into Group B. Group B, we had XL versus Mad Lions, SK versus Fnatic. First game, XL versus Mad Lions. Two things to say. I think the first one is to point out that it was an absolutely crazy brawl throughout both of the games. Absolute madness in both instances. It looked very messy, very brawly in the first game. Slightly better, but still very chaotic in the second one. There was obviously a lot of eyes onto Mad Lions, you know, with the narrative that Mad Lions are, you know, series teams into best of threes, best of five, so we're probably going to see a better version of Mad Lions rather than the one that they showcased, kind of like what happened in spring, and that things like Hilisan getting more engaged supports under his belt would sort of allow Mad Lions to perform better, which didn't happen really. I think both teams had a, you know, I don't know if you guys ever seen the gif of like, is these two boxers just punching at each other at the same time? That's exactly what was happening in the first game. It was quite surprising, first of all, to see a Lee Sin pop out, especially on Peach, but the game was definitely driven through him. He went absolutely demonic on that Lee Sin pick. I think he was like 7-0-4 at one point in the game, which was quite surprising because I believe that Elyoya was playing Poppy, which is a very hard counter against Lee Sin, and a, you know, much more adapted pick within the current meta. But Peach managed to, you know, make it work and just had full presence across the map. Like there wasn't one lane that he was forgetting. He was top, mid, bot, you name it, and you know, definitely collecting the kills for himself. So he was on that carry duty. But the thing is, when you have a champion like Lee Sin ahead in the early game, then there's a lot of avenues for him to take over um, the enemy's jungle and really starve him um, from camps. So it's an easy way to just really sort of snowball that lead. With that said, the game was so chaotic that there wasn't a way for XL to just close the game immediately. It was just fights upon people getting caught. It's we have an advantage now, you have an advantage, and very, very messy game. XL still came away with a 2-0, which I think was quite surprising. And there were obviously words about Hidden or Hidon. I don't know how it's meant to be pronounced. The XL coach being good at helping teams grow and improve. So we're definitely witnessing that when it comes to XL's progress. Do they have finally the good pieces after switching so many players across the season? Could be. Could be. Yeah. Quite surprised by Excel, definitely. SK versus Fnatic. Well, I won't talk about this game in this segment right now. 2-0 for SK. Just very disappointed of Fnatic's performance, obviously. Some of the cracks from week 3 kind of continued, but more about this as we talk about it in the Fnatic segment. This gave us a exciting XL versus SK game, which ended in a 2-1 scoreline for XL, which, again, looking at how XL played, looking at how SK played their game, SK looked much more in control. Both games against Fnatic, while XL was a much more brawly, chaotic style, and I think it was safe to say that SK looked like the better team, like the team that had better execution, better plan on how they wanted to, make things happen. And, well, you wouldn't have it any other way in the LEC that you get a surprise that XL wins 2-1 versus SK. Again, very good games. I mean, I don't know if it's a patch for Peach, but he's definitely found his space in that game, in those best of threes, I should say. Sorry. There was a very good game as well from Patrick. I can't remember if it was the first or third one where he basically saving XL's ass from losing to SK, but it feels like those games were such a long time ago. It's weird. Sorry, there's someone who's pinging me on Discord. I'm just gonna close this very quickly. There we go. So I won't get distracted. Sorry about that. But yeah, XL just moving forward onto that playoffs game against G2, which will be happening Monday. So it's like a sort of winners playoff finals. The winner going straight to the final spot, obviously, which will end in a losers bracket starting with Fnatic Mad Lions. Fnatic fans, here's your PTSD from last split. Again, I think it's very hard to call that one. Mad Lions looked absolutely rubbish overall. They, while they weren't great from this in the second half of the regular split, it doesn't look like anything's changed since. There isn't that infamous spark of like, oh, they're finally improving. They're actually getting there. New meta hasn't changed anything for them. On the other hand, it seems that for Fnatic, the problems from week 3 have continued. The meta read hasn't been great, and just the team play in general looks super scuffed. I would say that maybe Fnatic's situation is easier to fix, because they've looked better across the split. But that's what we thought was gonna happen in the previous split. In the end, Mad Lions won. It was very close. I know. I'll give it to you. There was that infamous Nexus spot where we didn't manage to kill it in time, and that just turned into Jinx killing everybody in the late game with the is it Fire Soul? I can't remember. Is that what it's called? Fire Drake Soul. So yeah. Final game will be SK versus one of those two teams. SK looks, despite losing to Excel, still looks like probably the better team out of those three. So again, I would say there's a high chance for them to make it out, but it all depends. It all depends. For having watched LEC and EULCS for all those years, I can safely say that there's no regularity from one week to another, especially in best of 3, best of 5 formats. One team who looked good in group stage week 1 might look rubbish and completely disjointed in week 2, and the inverse is also true. So we've heard plenty of rumors about how these teams prepare, of what's been happening in between. At the end of the day, it's all about what happens on stage. So we'll see how this group B unfolds. Definitely the most surprising group, where I think no one got all the predictions correct. Potentially people voted SK over Fnatic, which could make sense regarding the history of this season, where SK has won all the games against Fnatic, but also the latest game of SK against Fnatic. However, I don't think anyone probably predicted XL to play as well against Mad Lions. There's a lot of narrative about Mad Lions bringing it back. Didn't happen. Will they bring it back on week 2? Could be, could not be. I know what a great point I'm making. Just having zero argument, zero position. It's just, it could happen. It could also not happen. You guys make your opinion with that. But with that said, let's take a look a bit more at Fnatic, who, I said, I used the word disappointing earlier. I also think that surprising also really applies here, because while Fnatic did lose against SK in the regular split, they still look better than SK across the split. It's a best of 1, anything can happen. Thinking in best of 3, there's a bit more space to work in there. Plus, we've had Shaves share the fact that they were preparing 13-13 in advance. In the end, a swift 0-2 for Fnatic, unfortunately. Going over, game by game, obviously. Well, actually, you know what? Let's pull up the replays. Let me just find the right screen. Boom. And there we go. Into the first game. It's it's controversial while it's not controversial. We have Jax in the top lane, which we know Oscar likes to play and plays rather well. We have Poppy for Razork, on which he's been an insane carry previously. Humanoid Azir is good in lane, but it's kind of a coin flip on how well he's going to do in the rest of the game. The Zeri, I think, is the most controversial one because she's been nerfed really hard, and she's definitely not one of the favorite ADC picks. Doesn't mean she cannot work, but obviously, if you want to put as many chances on your side, you don't necessarily go for Zeri. And the Braum pick, which goes within the theme of this composition and against what SK Gaming is doing, which has a lot of engage going. You have the Maokai and the Alistar for precise engages. You've got Tristana and Kaisa, who can easily reset their positions during a team fight and have that double ADC impact. And Gnar, who kind of fits these two elements, can have the mini Gnar for the range, can have the mega Gnar for the engage transformation frontline. So my issue with our draft is that we're not allowed to play our style. We are just playing against SK style, but it doesn't fit our style. What has worked for us is that we need within our draft some early champion picks. Usually for Razork, you might want to put him on a Viego or whatever, I guess meta champion that plays an early game. But Fnatic, this split has been successful mainly through Razork and obviously Trimby matching the ganks and getting that early game flow through him. There, in terms of engages, you don't really have anything. The Jack stun can be telegraphed. Poppy E, again, not the easiest one. And then what? Are you going to expect a Trimby Q or a humanoid shuffle? Those are, not the best engages you want to look at. You'd rather have something like, maybe a Nautilus to go in. Hell, I would even say Leona if you want to go there. Even if it's not necessarily the most meta pick, you want to go in champion. Same for Razork. Do you go with the Viego? Do you go with something else? Do you go with a Sejuani if you want more frontline pick? List goes on. And if we go through the game, at no point do we really have an advantage after the first few kills. In terms of CS, we're doing super well. Oscar is ahead. We're taking Drake. Really, really good. The problem is we can't make anything else happen on the map, and that means we can't be having individual mistakes. Is that you chill, you scale, and hopefully we are ahead once contest for neutral objectives comes around. The only issue is that is it here? Yeah. Where is it? Oscar, is it here? Yeah, I don't know. Either miscalculates or doesn't respect Irrelevant here, but gets first blooded, and all the advantage that he had gotten with the CS lead has been completely crushed. Top of that, Wave is right next to his turret, so Irrelevant gets a plate with Razork being on the top line. Very easy. And from that point onwards, the Jax is easily out of the game. And as it goes on and on, you're going to see the gold difference just keeps on getting increased over and over. Even with a kill, one turret, managed to get a kill on Irrelevant, doesn't matter. He's 700 gold ahead. Humanoid is doing his best, but even with a 10 CS lead, He's only 100 to 200 gold ahead. You know, Noah gets caught here again. Boom. Again, the mobility, as I mentioned before. Extra kick, easy collects the kill. Double ADC power, just destroying. Already Tristana is known for being a turret destroyer, but you add a second ADC on top of that, what can you do? And it's pretty much the story of this game. You know, it's SK kind of having the easier draft to execute. Here, I don't get it. I don't get what we're trying to do. Like, you could leave the Drake. Like, Irrelevant. I mean, Irrelevant played super well, obviously. Gets a great angle here. We, for some reason, trying to contest this line, but have no ward. And it's like, if you go to any like dragon fight, you will know that they always have a ward here, either already at the back of the pit, or in that brush there next to the red, or in that tri brush here, to make sure you don't get flanked. Here it's not done. Trimby comes in, boom, bada boom, easy ult. Jungler is out. So there's like 3 layers of engage here. There's like there's Irrelevant with his jump into the knock into the wall. Boom. Humanoid is forced to flash. Then comes Marcoon's ult on Maokai, which means even if you flashed, now you need to get out of here in a vertical manner and not in a horizontal manner unless you shuffle there. Trimby tries to counter with the ult, but too late. You get the Alistar on top, so bounce party. And Razork is dead. 3v4 when the rest of the team isn't there. So now you're out of a jungler, and what are you gonna do? Nothing. There's probably the main ult engage gone, and that's that. And you can't contest for Drake because jungler isn't there, so you're gonna lose to the smite fight. So they're still posturing like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Humanoid starts a recall and in the end cancels it and then does the recall again. Just give the Drake. Instead, what happens? You lose mid turret. So not only do you lose a Drake, you give a kill, but you're losing map pressure as well. Just give. It's fine. It's only the second Drake for SK. They're not into soul point. But again, it looks very disjointed. We're looking to fight. We have no info. One more time, giving Baron for free. Yeah, SK isn't even sweating here. Like, they know they have it. They know they have it. At the 20-minute mark, it's, you know, ding, ding, ding. Watch. Time to get Baron. Razork too short to get him. There's plenty of wards to see exactly where he's aiming. Boom. And then it's like, well, what do you do? Oh, can get mid turret, but mid turret we should have gotten way earlier. And SK just, you know, they don't have to do anything crazy. They don't have to do anything crazy. They just took the Baron when it was available because the recalls were poorly timed and they are ahead of us from, you know, the previous team fight, so they're very happy with that. And then they execute Baron very easily. We're so behind in terms of turrets that Humanoid has to be topside to try to gather something. In the meantime, they're 4 bot lane. No one can contest because there's no engage. So SK is under 0 threat here. Humanoid gets caught. Irrelevant plays this super well. Gets the knock during the shuffle. And Humanoid dies. So, you know, if Irrelevant wants, can just recall, joins his team. Instead, has a free push in the top lane. He's going to grab that second turret. Fnatic can't contest. And what I hate the most is that from that point onwards, it looks like we have 0 plan. It's 23 minutes into the game. We feel desperate, and it's just Hail Mary plays from that point onwards. Irrelevant is just completely controlling the game. The one with the most gold. And is just threatening Fnatic at any moment. Boom. Just, you know, layers of engages. Boom, 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 boom. They're all super low, but you know, we barely touch them in response. So what do you want to do? Game is pretty much over at this point. It's just about the last hurrah, as we call it, last team fight to allow SK to close game. Oscar cannot match the Snarl. Even with, you know, 2 items, boom, Marcoon flashes away. You know, we're out of solutions here. It's another free Baron. What do you want to do? We try to get it. Instead, we go into bad team fights. Look at, like, the poke. It's just everything. Poke and engage. They have both of them. No, I can't fight this. Second Baron. And then there's not much left to say. You know, 8k gold advantage. There's no damage. There's not enough damage. There's no, you know, even Razork's not even tanky enough. I'm gonna try to go for a Baron. TP from Irrelevant. We get the Drake. We manage to escape, but no. What really do we achieve? They have Baron. They just take our base. And then very, very standard game closing. We try to push the waves away. Nothing's being accomplished. And then, as I mentioned, Hail Mary plays. Humanoid does a shuffle. But Alistar presses R. Never dies because we have, again, 0 damage. A Hexa kick gets into the back line. Just pokes everyone. And everyone gets into the meat grinder. And it's a GG. You know. What can you say? What can you say? SK just executed their game properly. We looked lost, taking team fights when we shouldn't, without having, you know, good information, getting flanked, Irrelevant, playing super well. Story of the game. Going into the second game, looking a bit better in terms of engage this time. We've got Sejuani, we've got the Nautilus, the Azir. I mean, again, Azir I don't think is a problem. It gets played. But does it fit really in this format? I'm not too sure. Just feeling like there's too much AP as well on this comp. You know, while Cansante does have some AD ratios, there's not like a strong AD champion in there. You're looking at AP, 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 AP. Well, mixed, but mainly AP. You know, not the greatest. You have Gwen, which is very good, into Cassante. Certus on his Akali, on which he's, you know, probably his best pick. And you have a great bot lane with the Xayah Rakan. This time we actually do play a bit better. We get things going. Can't remember at which minute it is. Is it on the top lane? Yeah, so we get, I mean, it's a very pushy kill. You know, it's like Oscarinen almost dies here. Flashes have to be used by Razork with his ult and everything to lock down Irrelevant, because Gwen heals like crazy with her ult. And what happens here is 3 people top lane, which got us a kill, which really didn't do anything in a bigger picture, because Oscar didn't get any plates for that. You know, might be denying a few CS for Irrelevant, but you know, not crazy. It's 69-62. He has to recall because he's so low. Gets, you know, fucked in the tempo because Marcoon comes in, so this gives time for Irrelevant to come back, as he has TP and Oscar doesn't. In the meantime, as they spot Trimby in the top side, Noah gets pushed away from his turret, loses CS, gives away plates. So, you know, getting a kill is great. Getting first blood is awesome. The problem is when it hurts another side of the map so hard, especially one of your, you know, carry members. I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's worth, personally. you're giving away so much to Hexakick for free. And Noah, shouldn't be playing really weak side with a pick like Kaisa, but he's forced to pick weak side or to play weak side style because of that. Let's see, 2 plates and a 10 CS difference for free for Hexakick. And again, tempo and the advantage of SK, who got the Drake earlier, now they get Herald. It's, for one kill that was super pushy, SK gets so much behind. So it doesn't really feel like a victory in the end. It's a morale victory, and it's a slight gold advantage, but in the end, there's so much gold on the back of Hexakick and tower pressure that it doesn't really, convert into anything. Like, Fnatic has to go much further to get it rolling. Because right now you have your gold advantage on 2 tanks. And even if Cassante, is almost like a bruiser in the way he is, there's more gold that's being fed into Hexakick. So, it does, as long as Hexakick survives here, he's absolutely fine. He's just getting more gold, more advantage for his team because he's going to be a very, very strong, carry champion for them. And that's it. And from that point onwards, SK has the advantage on the bot lane because they have, the stronger person. Now, here Markin does go too far because DOS, overplays his hands, but it doesn't do anything crazy at the end of the day. You get a Drake. Oscar almost gets a solo kill. Very good flash from Irrelevant. But yeah, it's it's a decent start, but look, first target goes to SK, and you watch it here. There's a 1k gold difference between Hexakick, who is the leader, and if you're asking me, I'd rather have most of the gold on my team on an ADC or a mid laner rather than on a top laner, even if it's Cassante. On the long run, Cassante isn't necessarily gonna 1v9 the game. So right now you're looking, the top 3, the gold the gold advantages are on Certus and Hexakick for SK, whereas for us they're on Oscar and Razork. And I don't think within this current patch, within this current meta, that this is where you want your gold advantages to be. And it's like, again, here, it would have been nice for Humanoid to get the kill. Like, Trimmy didn't even use his Ignite, so it's just a question of timing. But, again, who gets punished? It's Noah. It's the same scenario as the previous game, where Noah is alone, has to control the mid wave, 3 people pushing, where, the rest of the team is focusing elsewhere. Like, they're lucky that Noah doesn't get dove on here, and nothing gets achieved. Good flash here, so there's not even a punish at the end of the day. There's like 1 flash, but the flash is on Poppy. Doesn't really matter. SK gets Herald here. Like, their timings are so good overall. Managed to get turrets, managed to prevent turret from dying, but it's not great. There, Humanoid cuts it very close to die. Good, cancel from Oscar on Certus TP. Managed to get a kill on Irrelevant, which could feel nice, but again, it's the same stories. You got gold advantage on Cassante, you got gold advantage on Razork. Humanoid is starting to get there, but he's got 2 assists. It's we need him to be much further ahead with a Nazir to really dominate. Main problem is you have Hexakick with still his more or less 1k gold against Noah, and this doesn't give space for Noah to really carry. And Noah has been super good for us so far, so I don't understand why we're not helping him achieve this. you know, get those levels and get those advantages. So sorry, I just had to check something here. You know, again here with the gold advantage that we have, we cut a team fight super close, 3v3, and we lose Drake. And this is where you feel that the advantage on Exakick is really making the difference, because here Oscar has one of the greatest lead in the game, and what happens? Oh, he gets killed by Marken and Hexakick, and now they're putting pressure on Noah, Razork, and Humanoid, and that's it. That's how it is. The 1k gold lead is beating the 1.3, 1.2 gold difference. Razork here, I don't know what he goes for. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do to Irrelevant. It's Gwen. It's Gwen with one item, so... And what happens here? Boom, Humanoid gets baited. He dies. And from that point onward, you just know that we're stumbling. We're making the stupidest plays ever. Right. Total damage to the last team fight. 3k for Hexakick. And 1.9 for Noah. The proof's in the pudding. And again, 20-minute timer. Free Baron for SK. And it's a comedy of errors from Fnatic, because then it's just Hail Mary plays and we just give the advantage to SK. There's not much to say from there. We just dropped the ball super hard. While we had somewhat of a control on the mid game, we try to make team fights look at this. Look, your carries are not here. What are you trying to do? You gave a double kill to Certus. Oscar gets one kill, but it's against the support. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not able to do anything. And SK's just laughing at us. They're just, you know, just playing their champions. And that's it. Here we try to go for Baron. Very good hammer from Marken. Humanoid is left alone. It's just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Game ends. Roughly, you know, same length. Inferno Drake for SK Baron. And that's that. That's that, really. Nothing more to be said. They expect roster change next season if we don't make it. Definitely. It definitely will happen. I think that probably Razork might be jumped, which I don't think is necessarily fair, but I feel like this would be the one guy to be changed. Him or either Humanoid. Actually, you know, I have a weird prediction in my mind. I feel like Razork and Humanoid are gonna leave next season. I don't know why. I have this kind of weird gut feeling that they might not make it. Yeah, I mean, Noah does kind of flash early, but it's just like an ensemble of mistakes on that point. So, you know, it's hard to point one person out here. It's just a very, very rough series. What I will say is that, you know, Shaves did come into the Discord, said that he had some health issues, and I hope he's feeling better, by the way. That kind of hindered the practice. Level of practice wasn't really great as well. So, and apparently the meta read hasn't been great either. So a lot of negatives into going that final, into that first week. The only thing we can hope for is that the practice has been a bit better. Now, Nightshare did tweet a very, intriguing GIF about a turtle, you know, going very slowly with a race against a hare, a rabbit. And could that mean, you know, slow and steady wins the race, that we are finally making progress? If it's the case, it's good, but I hope that we're making enough progress to beat Mad Lions, but also to beat SK. Because I think we really have to look at the bigger picture that SK has crushed us this season, and I think they have the read on us so far. So, you know, it's going to be two very important best of threes, two complicated ones, and we're going to have to come in swinging because everyone is saying, if Fnatic plays correctly, they're going to crush everyone. And it's like, yeah, so the potential is here, and we've seen the potential. It's all about executing on this potential, and it's going to be very, very sad if we don't make it out of playoffs. I'm really questioning the fact that we're actually gonna make it at the end of the day. So I hope we do, but I don't know. I feel like a fix is possible, but the fix looks rather big. I don't know if 1 week is gonna be enough. And that's gonna be Fnatic's biggest challenge at the end of the day. So without further ado, I say we have a look at these predictions. God damn it, I got it wrong again. Starting with Group A, Koi versus Team Heretics. As I mentioned before, Team Heretics does look like the better team between the two. I think it's going to be a close best of three, but there's a better chance for Team Heretics. You guys agree on that one, so that's fine. I was more surprised about this one, the BDS versus Koi Team Heretics. I'm starting to really think that there's a strong Spanish following because you guys are always voting in favor of Team Heretics. So, if there are any Spanish fans or Spanish-speaking communities watching, hello guys, thank you for supporting the channel. But yeah, I've gone to the side of BDS. I still feel they look stronger. I'd be very surprised, but I think it would be cool to see Team Heretics potentially beat BDS. But when we saw the previous game of BDS versus Team Heretics, it looked kind of one-sided. So we will see. We will see what happens on the day. You guys got Team Heretics to make it out. I've got Team Heretics, then BDS. Both games 2-1. Should be expected to be close games, to be honest. Overall. Going into Group B plus playoffs. I've added that final game there. Mad Fnatic. We're feeling a close game. 2-1 as well. For Fnatic, let's not have flashbacks to spring. Please, 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 please. I don't think I could make it. Emotionally, I don't think I can make it. It would be too much for me. SK versus Fnatic Mad. You're gonna hate me, guys, I know, but this is where my brain is going. I think SK is gonna have it, which would signal the end of the run, but I don't want Fnatic to end it here. It would make me insanely hard. But looking at current form, I think SK definitely has it. If Fnatic wins like you guys have predicted, I think it will be proof that they've definitely fixed and improved within a week. Going into G2 versus XL, predicting XL to win a game. It's a best of 5. It's a best of 5. Anything can happen. G2 hasn't gone 100% win rate this split. So if XL plays the way they did, it wouldn't be out of the way to see XL grab one game in a best of 5. So there's a chance that G2 3-0s, but you can always put it out there that XL grabs a game, which eventually is what the community voted for as well. 3-1 G2. G2 definitely going straight to finals. They are the final boss for summer split, so it's gonna be an interesting one to look forward to. Just hoping that Fnatic makes it, obviously. With that said, guys, thank you for watching. Again, appreciate the support. I'm seeing you guys follow. I'm seeing you guys dropping likes and everything. Super encouraging. Really appreciate it. If you're not aware, there's the r/place going on Reddit. We are fighting hard to get Fnatic in pixel form in there. We had an amazing banner. Bunch of bots and shenanigans happened. So we've downsized a little bit. We're still fighting. We're still, trying to preserve our spot. So if you have a Reddit account, head on to Discord or follow my accounts up there. Boom, there we go. I'm always updating as much as possible on the latest action. Last year we managed to have Little Square on there. Let's try to go a bit bigger, a bit more ambitious, and have Fnatic immortalized in that fresque of pixels. Again, if you want to follow on the other channels, the YouTube and the Spotify are here for you. Guys, enjoy the games this weekend. Are we playing on Sunday or Saturday? We're playing tomorrow. I'm just realizing now that I won't be there for the game. I'm going to a concert tomorrow, so I hope that when I open the app that I'll see Fnatic win. Otherwise, it will be a very sad ending to what will be a cool evening for me. So guys, unfortunately there won't be any live commentary for the game, but enjoy the games. Fnatic win, but most of all, always Fnatic. Thank you guys. See you next time.